Top of mind, how to take control of what influences you the most. That's what this video is all about. And to help you to understand what I'm talking about when I talk about top of mind, let's kind of go into the world of real estate for just a second. And in the world of real estate, if you've ever done a transaction in real estate, you understand the idea of a principle or a concept known as location, location, location. And what that essentially means is that the location of that piece of property, that real estate, has a huge bearing on the value of that piece of real estate. Why? Well, because its location determines maybe how close it is to good schools or a good neighborhood or crime-free neighborhood or conveniences such as shopping and groceries and entertainment, things like that. And so all those things play a factor in making that property valuable based on its location. Now, our thoughts are the same way. We have a lot of thoughts going on in our head. And when we elevate a certain thought or an idea and put it in a location at the top of our mind, we make it valuable because of the impact and the influence that it can have on our lives. Now, what's really interesting or very important to understand is that we choose which thoughts to elevate in our minds so that they influence us in different ways. So it's really important that we choose wisely and we just don't allow anything up there to the top of our mind. This is valuable real estate right here, metaphorically speaking. Obviously, the thought that I'm talking about doesn't go actually to the very top of your brain, but we're talking about, metaphorically speaking, putting it in a priority position. Now, why does it work this way? Well, because thoughts that are elevated to the top of your mind, they start affecting your thinking and your emotions in powerful ways. Why is that? It's because they're fresh. You can see them clearly. You are oftentimes emotionally connected with them on a deeper level or a stronger level than other thoughts that are just kind of floating around there. And we'll look at an example here in just a second. But it's that clarity and that emotional connection with that thought, because it's at the top of your mind, that really plays a part in affecting your perception of what's going on around you, your decision making, maybe your motivation for doing what you're doing, and ultimately your emotions, which is a powerful force in driving your behavior. So all of these come together to make top of mind a very influential place to be. Now, to give you an example of how this might work, let's consider the example of pizza, something we can all get on board with. I think majority of people in this world, no matter where you live, love pizza. So imagine you're watching a TV show, your favorite TV show, and you're just going about your business, watching the show, having some laughs. Maybe your friends or family are with you, and you guys are having conversation. Maybe you're thinking a little bit about work, what you got to do tomorrow. Hopefully not, but that happens. But then all of a sudden, you have this disruptive force, a good disruptive force, in the sense that a pizza commercial pops onto the screen. And what happens? Wow, that pizza is glistening, it's steamy, and it looks amazing, doesn't it? And where you weren't thinking about pizza before, I mean, obviously you knew about pizza because it's in the back of your mind, but pizza has been elevated to a top of mind position because you can see it clearly right there and you're having an emotional reaction to it. And what typically happens is you start getting hungrier, right? Where you may have not even thought about being hungry before. Now all of a sudden you are. You're like, wow, I want to have that. And so it affects your emotions. It affects your motivation because maybe you're now motivated to order a pizza where you weren't even before. And that is the power of something moving into a top of mind position. And this is one of the reasons why companies spend so much time, energy, and resources on marketing, because they know that you probably understand and are aware of their products, but once they can use marketing to move those products and services to the top of your mind, that is when you're influenced to buy them, use them, and affected by them. So they become part of your thinking and your perception and your motivation. So that is the power of top of mind in action. Now, when we look at top of mind in our lives, generally the things that we put in the top of our mind or that just show up there sometimes are random. Could be a problem shows up in our life. And guess what? all of a sudden becomes the top of our mind, and it starts affecting how we feel, what we think, our decisions maybe. Or maybe we watch news stories, and again, we could be having a good day. All of a sudden, we tune into a news story, and randomly, we weren't expecting anything in particular, except these days you can usually expect bad news, unfortunately. But beside the point, you're going about your day, having a great day, and you tune into the news, and all of a sudden, your emotions might change. You might start noticing a shift in your perception about how things are working or what's going on. Maybe your motivation for doing work has just minimized because you're like, this is so depressing. Now, these things happen by random, but I want to show you and share with you several ways to take control of this powerful place in your mind so that you're always putting in that space and elevating in that space something valuable and that's going to impact your life in a positive way. So here are several ways to do it. First of all, you want to top of mind your goals. Seems kind of obvious, right? We all know that the importance of goals, and you probably heard this over and over again. You got to set goals, you got to write them down, you got to review them, you got to look at them regularly. Have you ever wondered why that is the case? Do you think people are just telling you, you know what, look at your goals regularly, get pictures of them, just because they think that that's a cool thing to do? Well, using this principle, top of mind, what they're really highlighting is the importance of moving that into a valuable position in your mind by looking at it, writing it down, reviewing it daily. And once you do that, it moves to the top of your mind. These goals aren't just something that's floating around in the back of your mind somewhere that you have a dream to do, but it is something of substance that you see clearly, you're making an emotional connection with. And when that happens, that goal or that concept of achieving that goal starts affecting your perception, your decision making, your motivation to do what you do. And again, that is a powerful position to put that thing. And so it's important to top of mind your goals, the things that you want to achieve. Now, the next thing that you want to consider top of minding, if that's a word, we're going to make it a word, is people. And when you look at your life, there are people in your life that you want to influence you. You admire them, they inspire you on some level, and you think, boy, I'd like to be more like them because they're pretty awesome. So how do you top of mind people like that? It may be people you know, it could be people that you don't know, just authors and speakers and things like that. Well, the way that you top of mind them is you connect with them as much as you possibly can. If you can't do it physically, then guess what? You connect with them by reading their books or watching their videos or reading their articles or going to their seminars. And these are different ways to move those ideas that they share and who they are from the back of your mind to the top of mind, where they can influence your thinking and emotions. So you need to connect with them on a regular basis, however that plays out, and however you do that in a physical way or a digital way, using digital tools. Now, on the flip side, there might be people that you want to be at the top of their minds. Your kids, you want them to look at you as a valuable resource. Your employees, your coworkers. And if there are people that you want to be at the top of their mind so that you can influence them in a positive way, guess what you have to do? You have to spend some time with them. And you have to share some emotionally positive experiences with them. Get that emotional connection going. If you want, occasionally give them a text, send them a text, tell them, hey, you know what? I really enjoy our time together. You're pretty amazing. And just keep you at the top of their mind. Give them a hug. That's a great way. If you can, give them a hug. And that's a great way to move you to the top of their mind. And they'll hold on to that for a while, because a hug's a very powerful thing, okay? In an appropriate setting. So that's how you top of mind other people in your mind and move into the top of their mind so you can influence them in a positive way. The next thing you want to top of mind is valuable ideas. And when we're talking valuable ideas, I'm talking things like tips and tricks. So as you're going about life and you have various interests, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's gardening, maybe it's public speaking, maybe it's creating videos. You are learning tips and tricks and strategies for how to do that. Now, what are you doing with them? Are you just consuming them, and are they getting filed away at the back of your mind somewhere where they're there, but are they doing you any good? And that's the problem sometimes with just watching a video and you save it or you pin it or you write underlined notes in a book, is that once you've done that, it's gone if you just never do anything with it. And it's easy to think that because you underlined it or because you pinned it or because you saved it, that it's really going to impact your life now. And that's really not the case at all. Because the process of using that idea, you have to move it to the top of your mind. How do you do that? You have to review it regularly, reread the information, your notes, your highlights, check them out again, review them regularly, spend some time thinking about these ideas, thinking about how you're going to implement them, use them in all these different ways. Now, one of the best things that you can do with the tips, ideas, and strategies and all this awesome knowledge that you're taking in is to really get to the top of your mind, teach it to others. Look at the people who you admire, your mentors, the people that you say, wow, they are doing a great job with this thing, this gardening, this cooking, this communicating. And you might look at them and say, well, obviously they're able to do it because they have a gift. And they have talents and skills that I just don't have and I'll never have. And on some levels, yeah, they've developed their skill, their craft over time, but that's through hard work. And they may have some innate ability to do a certain kind of thing. But 99% of the reason why they are doing what they're doing isn't based on those things necessarily. But it has to do more with the fact, I believe, that they are constantly teaching these ideas, these tips, these strategies, these things to other people. And so what happens is they embody those ideas because they become at the top of their mind on a regular basis. So those ideas that they're sharing with other people start influencing their lives and their emotions and their actions, their behaviors, their perception, their decisions in every way possible because they're living them and they're sharing them with others. And again, they're elevating those things to the top of their mind by teaching them to others. Because when you teach something to others, it becomes strongly embedded in you, in your own mind, your own heart. So the things that you want at the top of your mind, ideas, teach them to others. That's one of the best things you can do. Another thing you want at top of mind are inspirational things. I'm talking quotes, stories, images of people, places, and things that you love, that inspire you. Make them top of mind by placing them somewhere where you can see them on a regular basis. On your desk, on your wall, on your fridge. And every time you're going about your day and you glance over at that picture or that quote, or you realize that that story is right there, a short story, it's going to flood that message or that idea back to the top of your mind. And it's going to make you feel good. It might inspire you. But that's the power of doing this and getting these inspirational things to a place, in a valuable place in your mind where they can influence you and impact you. And finally, you want to top of mind your daily accomplishments. So you're accomplishing things on a regular basis, and you might think, well, yeah, I know what I accomplished yesterday or today, but there's a very powerful effect that comes from really stopping and recognizing what you are doing on a regular basis. And maybe even speaking it out loud. That's what I do on a regular basis. I just go through my day and I say, I accomplished this, I accomplished this, I accomplished this, I accomplished this. And what that does is it brings awareness to what you're doing. And that awareness, again, brings the fact that you are accomplishing things, creating things to the top of your mind. And it increases your self-worth. You see yourself as a person who can make a difference in your own life. You can create the outcomes that you want because you're constantly feeding that idea and that belief by bringing it to the top of your mind, by bringing awareness to all the things that you're doing on a regular basis. It's a very great way to wrap up the day and very effective at making you feel better about your own accomplishments and what you're able to do. Now, we've talked about some general ideas on how to top of mind different things, but let me give you a few different pointers, if you will, on how to top of mind most things that are valuable to you. Use images of those things. Watch videos of those things. And here's a big one, and that is to meditate or think deeply about the things that you want to impact and influence your life. Now, when I'm talking meditation, I'm not talking about what you might think meditation is. Oftentimes people think meditation is this point where you are just clearing your mind of everything and just letting everything go and emptying your mind and not doing anything. But what's interesting, and it's surprising that this is oftentimes missed, is the fact that if you look in the dictionary at one of the top definitions for meditation, it means to reflect or to ponder, which is an exercise in thinking. So what I'm talking about here when I talk about meditation is deep, focused thinking. Spending time with the things that you want to be valuable in your own mind. Asking questions about them, visualizing them, getting emotionally excited about those things. That is how you move something very powerfully, like with a hammer, to the top of your mind so that it begins to influence you on a regular basis. And especially when you do meditation on these things on a consistent daily basis. So don't neglect the idea of spending some quality time, deep, focused thinking on what matters to you and what you want to be valuable. Now, one final point to highlight is that, as you've noticed in this video, top of mind is a very valuable space. Very valuable. And you just don't want it to be occupied by anything willy-nilly. And that means just by chance, if you're not familiar with that term. And so you have to think of what you need to keep out of that space. And here's some examples. News. If you get caught up in this loop where you're just watching news on a regular basis, guess what you're doing? All those messages, all those negative emotions, you're moving to the top of your mind. And it's going to affect your perception of the world. It's going to affect how you feel. It's going to affect your motivation. Don't give that kind of junk a space, in a valuable space in your mind. Or, same thing with social media. It can consume a space at the top of your mind where you're looking at all the drama that may be going on in people's lives or things that have no real bearing in your own personal lives. And not saying that news or social media are wrong. If they're used in a proper way, they can be pretty enjoyable and pretty nice. But if you get consumed by them and you're constantly flooding your brain with those things, then it's going to affect you. And what you're doing is you're giving them a valuable space in your mind where it can affect you at a deeper level than maybe you even realized. And finally, the past. If you have something in the past and you just keep playing it over and over and over again in your mind, it's staying right here. And that is not a place where you need anything like that. Just let it go, push it out. It can be in the back of your mind. It probably will never leave the back of your mind, at least. But don't give it that valuable space where it really paints a picture of your perception of everything that's going around you because of what happened to you in the past. Let it go. Just let it go. Feel good. Feel happy because you don't have that stuff right there where it's impacting and influencing you. So here are some next actions, very simple next actions on how to use this. Number one is you want to identify something that you want to elevate to the top of your mind. Look at some of the things we talked about. Your goals, a person, is there an idea or ideas or concept? Is there an inspirational thing? Your accomplishments? What is one thing that you really want to elevate in your mind that's very valuable to you and that you want to influence you and impact everything that you do? Now, once you've identified that, then based on our discussion, what do you want to do? You want to take some steps to move it right here. It's moving day. And how do you get these things moved right here? As we've talked about, look at it, review it, spend some time with it, make it visible, put reminders of it in your environment, teach it to others. Teach it to others. Meditate on it on a regular basis and track it. Tracking is an awesome way to move something to the top of your mind so that you keep it there and you can start working with it, adapting accordingly, and having success in that area that you're tracking. So all these things will help you to take control of what matters and influences you the most.